What's up, mi gente? I'm Chris Vasquez, aka CubanoChris, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you a little bit about my story and about why I created CubanoChris. And so I'm a third generation Cuban American. All four of my grandparents fled to Cuba for the States in the early 1960s. And although I was born here in the States, yo soy cubano. I identify so closely with my Cuban heritage, and my culture is just pervasive in every aspect of who I am. Over the past year, I've had the great privilege of being able to answer a question for myself that most people spend their entire lives trying to answer. And that is, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? What do I want my story to be about when it's all said and done? And whether that's engaging with my culture on a daily basis and helping others do the same, or serving and empowering the Cuban people directly, my purpose for being here on this earth, and the reason I'm in your face right now, is Cuba. And so, the second part of that purpose, serving and empowering the Cuban people. That actually goes back to the beginning of my journey with Inspire Cuba, a nonprofit that provides humanitarian aid to the Cuban people and collaborates with private, independent entities on the island. Inspire Cuba not only consists of myself, a third-generation Cuban American, but also of a second-generation Cuban American and of 3 first-generation Cuban Americans. And so, Inspire Cuba, with its diversity of thought, backgrounds, and perspectives, has really given me the empathy necessary to work in Cuba. It's also given me the ability to adopt a holistic perspective when analyzing the issues. And finally, the most valuable lesson I've learned in Inspire Cuba is the importance of direct engagement with the Cuban people as a means of bridging gaps, long-standing gaps, between Cubans in Cuba and Cuban Americans here in the States. In that light, I started CubanoChris to educate people about the importance of this direct engagement with the Cuban people as a vehicle for progress. Because you see, I feel that many of you watching, like myself, have experienced generational pressures from either your grandparents or your parents who fled struggles and conflicts in Cuba and now want nothing to do with it going forward. This dichotomy of contradictory and conflicting perspectives and mindsets of Cuba era lo mejor del mundo on the one hand and a mí no se me metió nada en Cuba on the other has bred an internal conflict within us, the children, between wanting to learn more about and to experience our culture, while at the same time feeling that doing so would be somehow an offense or a betrayal of our family's sacrifices. And so, as a friend and as someone who's been through that, I'm here to tell you to forget that. There's nothing wrong with wanting to learn more about and experience your culture. And doing so through direct engagement with the Cuban people, which is at the root of that culture, is the only way that we're going to make progress and break these ancient, persisting mentalities so that we don't have to spend the next 50 years the same way we spent the last 50. I've grown a lot since joining Inspire Cuba. I currently serve as president and chairman of the board of directors. I traveled to Cuba for the first time last summer on a project called Marabou to Charcoal and have 2 trips pending for this coming summer. More so than just promoting engagement, I created CubanoChris to form a space where I can document the work that I've done and I'm continuing to do with Inspire Cuba in my own voice and to build a community that can engage in meaningful dialogue around that work. And finally, the whole reason why I'm even doing any of this, why I'm standing in front of you talking to you right now, and why I created this page is to add value to you. So anything that you feel that would make this page more meaningful or relevant as it relates to Cuba, whether that be a certain interview, blog post, or mini-series that you want to see me do, or maybe a particular type of media that you want to see me on, please let me know, reach out to me in the comments. And so once again, I'm CubanoChris. Thank you so much for listening, mi gente. I really, really appreciate your attention. And let's do this. Let's grow together and let's build this community together. This is only the beginning. Pa arriba y pa'lante. Ya viene llegando.